Hi everyone, this is your Marine Turtle Specialist Group, our Regional Management Unit's editing guide. I wanted to start everybody off with basically a blank desktop so we can assume that you are starting from scratch. You should have received 2 emails recently. One was an invitation to the ArcGIS Online Marine Turtle Specialist Group groups page, and the second one should have been an invite to Dropbox that contains our data sets that you will download. Go ahead and start everybody with our Dropbox folder. Okay, and what you should see in here are our 7 species broken into basically 2 zip files each. For here we have Caretta component files .gdb.zip or geodatabase.zip and Caretta regional management unit .gdb.zip. We do not in any circumstance need to unzip these, okay, and the main files we'll be working with are the regional management units.gdb files. The component files are the files that we created via georeferencing all the hundreds of 300, 400 papers. They are provided for your reference, and they have already been uploaded into ArcGIS Online for your reference, but they're provided here as well. The main files you'll be working with, again, will be these regional management unit.gdb, Cheloniomydes, regional management units, Dermachellis, regional management units, etc. So what you want to do is pick one, and in this example, I'm going to pick the Caretta file. You probably will eventually be downloading all of these RMU files, and go ahead and download. Let me go ahead and hit save. Okay, and when you have finished that, we would want to hop into our ArcGIS Online account. So we go ahead and jump over here. I'm going to start again from scratch. And go ahead and sign in. I'm going to use my user account, but I've got to switch accounts real quick because I want to make sure that you guys are seeing everything that I'm seeing. So when I have given you the invite to the ArcGIS Online group, your landing page should be you should be seeing the group here: Sea Turtle, RMUs, MTSG, or what have you, the name of it. Okay, the way ArcGIS Online is currently laid out is you have an upper ribbon, okay, that shows our organization, the main GW geography page. We can see here are some other Marine Turtle Specialist Group members who've recently added. Okay, your original landing page, your groups, okay, where Sea Turtle Group should be, and your content. Most of the work will be done in your content page. I like to refer to this as like a cubbyhole for your data set, okay, where your personal data will be edited. Under content, we have our second ribbon that's specific to content here. My content, my favorites, my groups, which would be Sea Turtle Group just right now. Organization, still back to ArcGIS Online for GW Geography. All right, and you should have files listed here eventually that are your group files, your content files that you'll be sharing to the group. All right, yours probably is blank. Mine has some files right now. If it's blank, that's fine. What we're going to do is go ahead and add some files. So under content, you want to go ahead and click new item. All right, and it should provide something that's somewhat similar to Dropbox. You should see, do you want to drag and drop the files that you downloaded or just go ahead and add them straight? I usually use the device add straight from the download folder. Okay, you should see Caretta RMUs.gdb. The zip has been dropped from the file extension. Don't worry about that. Okay, this is just has the one because I've downloaded it before in tests. Go ahead and click it. You don't need to open anything. Just go ahead and click it and open. And it's going to ask you a few questions like what type of file this is, what do you want to do with it. Under item type, it's asking you what kind of file are you giving me. Okay, and it defaults shapefile. What we want to do is set it to file geodatabase because what it's containing is multiple shapefiles that are housed within a geodatabase. So it's just a file geodatabase. And then under the RMUs, what do we want to do with it? So we want to create, in addition to loading the RMU geodatabase, we want to create a hosted feature layer. So this should remain clicked. Our title, we would say Coretta RMUs GDB. And I'm going to go ahead because we have had small issues with identifying whose geodatabase is whose, adding our initials. So I'm going to say BJH for me. Since BJH for me has already been added, I'm going to go ahead and add a number. You do not need to do that. Just add your initials. And so for tags, the computer requires that the files have tags for searchability. Okay, and right now we're just adding a couple of ones that are fairly obvious, like CTurtle, and we can add regional management units, things along those lines. Summary, we're leaving blank for now because we're not actually making this public facing as yet. So we have them tagged. You have named your geodatabase with your initials, and it is going into your folder for content. So we go ahead and hit save. So within this, you should see it processing. This should take about 90 seconds. I'm going to pause it just to keep the tutorial video short. So our total processing time there is probably 60 to 90 seconds. Generally speaking, that's probably about what you'll see. What you see now is what the ArcGIS Online has uploaded. Okay, and we have our Coretta Regional Management Units Geodatabase title. Okay, and then a preview in the upper left, where if you want to, we can go ahead and add a quick thumbnail. This is not required. It will go ahead and take a quick picture of the RMUs. You can hit OK. It makes it look a little nicer. You should see the files, the components that are within the Coretta Regional Management Unit files, Atlantic Northwest, Atlantic Southwest, Regional Management Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, etc., listed all the way down. With options, we're going to ignore this section right now. I don't need anybody poking around in here quite yet. So we have data, which shows specific to Atlantic Northwest, our column titles. Okay, most of these are blank because we will fill them out while editing. Visualization will drop a map, which we'll do in a second. We don't need to look at it yet. Usage involves how many tokens you're charging to the GW Geography account. We're not worried about that right now. The main concern right now is our settings tab. We go ahead and click settings. All right, and this is how you define what can be done to your Coretta Regional Management Units geodatabase. There are fairly powerful buttons in here. We have delete protection. You want to prevent this from accidentally being deleted, setting extents, who can do what to what files, etc. The key here is we want to turn on editing because it's the point of the entire exercise. Okay, and I'll draw your attention to the main key buttons here are what is allowed during editing. Add, which will add polygons should we need that. Okay, delete, do we need to delete any polygons or edits, and update, should we take a present polygon that's already on the map and maybe change a boundary or two. All three of these should remain checked on, and we would like to leave attributes and geometry checked on as well. Attributes referring to the table, the attribute table, and geometry referring to the spatial extent and shape. Other things we would like to check on is keep track to see who is doing what. Generally speaking, it'll just be you, but the computer will keep a metadata background notes on when edits were made and things along those lines, and keep track of who created the last updated features. All of these, pretty straightforward. Please have add, delete, update, and attributes and geometry updated, and both keep tracks turned on. From there, we go ahead and hit save. I'm going to pause this. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, the delay there was about 20 seconds, not too long. So we again have our ribbon for specific to Coretta. Okay, and we want to jump back to content. So under our content page, again, you should be seeing Coretta RMUs, GDB, your initials, hosted, and then file geodatabase. The hosted one is the main engine behind what the edits are going to be made to. The file geodatabase is essentially just the data set that's behind everything. So we're going to focus all our attention on the GDB feature layer hosted. Okay, so if we go ahead and click that, it should bring us back to like the page that we originally landed on with the thumbnail. All right, so we should see overview, data visualization, etc. All right, so we have turned on editing, and we would like to take a look at our Coretta files, the spatial extent, and do some editing. You should see here again, I said ignore. Now we want to go ahead and take a look at some of these buttons. We want to go ahead and click on Open in Map Viewer Classic. In Map Viewer Classic, you should see all of your spatial RMU files as they've been drawn by the Marine Turtle Specialist Group. A couple of things to point out before we do any editing. I want to draw particular attention to this lower trans-Pacific file. If we go ahead and zoom in on it and say I'd like to change the boundary on it, you may see something odd. The file itself actually disappears, and you should see it over here, RMU09 Northwest, that's the north file, and the South Pacific file have disappeared. The reason is the computer actually picks what's known as a default extent. All right, and if you zoom past it, the file will turn itself off. The example I'm going to run during editing will be in this Northwest Atlantic file, okay, and its turn off trigger is closer in. Now it has turned itself off. Okay, you shall see that it's grayed out up here. If we want to go ahead and actually realistically edit it, we probably want to change that. So if we go ahead and click the ... here, all right, and then we would set visibility range. We can change this down to, let's say, city. Okay, this isn't a hard science. We can just set city is probably fine and go ahead and click that. And just as an example, I will set the Atlantic Southwest file to somewhat similar. Set it to, that's good. Okay, so we can zoom in pretty close and the files still exist. You should see there that Atlantic Northeast has turned itself off. All right, so when we get to editing, what we'd like to do is focus our attention on just the files we're poking around and editing. So in this case, let's turn off everything except the Northwest file, which will be the focus of our attention here. And note that under this we have an edit button. Okay, this is another button that was added as a consequence of us turning editing on, but when we were setting the user privileges buttons a few minutes ago. If we click edit, you should see that under the Add Features tab, we only have one file listed, Atlantic Northwest. Okay, it's because it's the only file back here that is turned on. If we go ahead and turn Atlantic Southwest on and go back to edit, you'll see both of these. All right. So if we're focusing just, let's say, on the Northwest for now, let's go ahead and turn Southwest off and jump to edit. All right. This the new feature button here is an actual button, and when you click it, it'll gray itself out. Okay, so if I unclick it real quick, let me point out that my cursor is a normal cursor here. I can navigate, etc. If we click the gray button, you now have a box that is designed for you to add information to the map. Okay, so let's go ahead and say, you guys did a great job, but you missed a paper right in here. Let me go ahead and add, I've got more information that says Coretta are present in this area. If you double click when you are satisfied with the polygon, it will add it. If I want to go ahead and show you again, we go ahead and hit undo. And we go ahead and click add new feature again. And we say click. Yep. And let's say I'm finished here and double click. What it brings up now is your attribute table that we would want to fill out and say editor name. I'm going to add my initials, organization, GWU, email, etc. RMU ID we will add, new, yes, etc. Things like this. Edit date 8/16/2021. Go ahead and please make sure that you at least note through all of this things that have been added. Other things to note within your attribute table here, because we clicked on computer please note who's doing what back in the user arrangement, it has noted here that I have added this file and edited it a few seconds ago. The other things to note are this delete button, okay, has been added. We don't need to click it. It's just been added because we have added that back when we were checking the user privileges. So go ahead and hit close. And if we click out of it, our polygon has been finished. Things to note about this polygon. Let's say this is great and you're happy with it. We could finish it. We will get to saving and moving on in a second. Let's say you finished about 80% of it and you'd like to change some of it. All right, so what we would do is take our cursor and click once on the polygon and it will bring up our table we can edit. If you click it again, it will bring up our vertices. If you go ahead and hover over a vertices and move it, okay, it will move the main area. These white vertices are ones that don't exist but are proposed. For example, if I move this, now it exists as a change in the line direction, and these ones become potential vertices, and on as far as detailed as you would like to make it. You can continue to do this as much as you feel like you need to, and once you have finished with that, you can single click out of it and then get back to your main file. Let's say we wanted to move the actual whole polygon. We could single click again, okay, and then hover over the line, not the vertices, over the line, and we can go ahead and shift our polygon. This may be something you do accidentally. I know I have a knack for accidentally moving my polygons. So let's say we're finished and we're really happy, and you say, I'd like to add a vertices here, and accidentally shift the whole thing. Not the best thing in the world. Okay, never fear. Because we changed the user arrangement back before, I want to draw everybody's attention down to this undo tab. We can hit undo, okay, and it will shift our polygon back to where it was. What you're seeing right now is actually a small server hang. It does happen. It's nothing to be too worried about. Okay, we can go ahead and zoom out, all right, and take a look at our polygon where it is now. One of the things to note, again, with this undo button is it will undo literally the last action you do. For example, go ahead and click here to our main giant Northwest Atlantic Regional Management Unit 1 file. If for some reason, I don't know how you would, if you for some reason accidentally deleted the whole thing, undo will save it and bring it back. Okay. If we accidentally do anything, move the file, undo, accidentally add a curve we don't want, undo, things like that. Okay, everything within this file can be undone. All right. Now, let's go ahead and go back to details and say Southwest is added, and we want to edit that one too. Let's zoom in on Southwest. Go ahead and go to edit, and again, note that it has been added, and we want to depress the button. And let's go ahead and add a polygon here. All right, and click it, and that's been added. And then we can click back to this one, and we can say get it to where they aren't overlapping, something like that. And then we now have both added polygons, and we would make notes for this one in its attribute table as requested, and we would be finished with our regional management units for this area. Fantastic. Okay, when we have finished our editing, we want to go back to details, all right, and go ahead and click under our ... for the files we have edited, all right, and go ahead and zoom all the way down from the ... to save layer. And here, same one for the edits that we have created. When these have finished saving, we also want for your content, let me go back out, for your content, and for our use in the group, go to Save Map and Save As. Okay, we would say BJH CC edits 1, something like that. Tags sea turtles is fine. You should be able to add sea turtles or regional management units there, and then hit Save Map. Map is saved, edits are saved, and we're in good shape. Once you have finished and you're satisfied with your edits, we want to click on this button up here, the Home button, okay, and go to Content. Under our content, we should see our feature layer and the map we created. Okay, what we would like to share is the feature layer hosted that has those saved layers that we edited. So we want to go ahead and click on that. All right. And you should see everything set up and ready to go over here, or share button. We go ahead and click share and go to owner, okay, and then edit group sharing. This is where we would like to save it. All right. The important thing to do though, before we get to this point, I have to stress this. Okay, I have made this mistake before. We want to turn editing off. So before we go ahead and share it to the group, we want to go to settings. Okay, go back to here and click enable editing off. This is what this is going to do is it's going to lock the file to your edits so nobody else can do anything to them. Let me go ahead and pause this. The updating privileges there took about 60 seconds, pretty normal. So our editing has been turned off. Okay, so now not even you, when you open it in a map, can edit your files. All right, but this is to prevent people when they're looking at them in the group from accidentally editing them. Okay, so when we jump back to overview, we can go back to what I was pointing out a second or two ago. Under the share tab, we can leave owner, edit group sharing, and share to our sea turtle group. And go ahead and hit OK and save. Coretta has been saved. Okay, so we would go ahead and jump to our groups and then jump to sea turtles. All right, and what has recently been saved? Right here, we have the file that we just created. We can go ahead and open it. Now I'm opening it from the group section. All right, so anybody globally can see the edits you've created. All right, but note the edit tab is completely missing. So nobody can accidentally change your files. All right, but the nice thing and the utility of this is what we can do now. I'll show you what we will do. Your job at this point has been completed. What we will do with it is once your files are uploaded is go to view item details. Okay. And we would go ahead and say, for example, open an ArcGIS desktop. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. And once ArcGIS Desktop has booted itself up, you can go ahead and see that we have added some edits to our files once it loads over here. Okay, and that they are attached to our actual file. That is our main file and the edit that we have added. And similarly here. Here we go. The added files. Anyway, let's jump back to here, and we would see our classic viewer or the data as we have added them. Okay, and then what we will do post-processing is open them in ArcMap and go ahead and edit them. All this again, the goal being it can be done globally. Back to groups. Okay, this is the end of your introduction tutorial for ArcGIS Online as being used for the Marine Turtle Specialist Group. We have covered downloading our files from Dropbox, downloading our files, or I'm sorry, signing into ArcGIS Online, uploading our files from our desktop to the ArcGIS Online server, enabling editing, go ahead and editing our files, turning off editing, enabling sharing, and what will happen post-processing once your job with editing has been completed. Thank you for watching the video. And if you have any questions, please contact us.